Rob, how we doing, man?
Good. How's it going, John?
Good, man. So, this is my buddy Dylan. Dylan, say what up.
Hey Rob,
What's up, Dylan?
how you
So,
doing?
Good. Where's
so
Taylor at?
yeah, so he's got a busy fall season coming up. He's got two kids in school now, and um, wife's going back to school and stuff like that. So,
Oh, cool.
so he can't join us tonight. Hopefully, in the near future, he'll be back on soon. But
All right, no worries.
real life comes first, you know.
That's true. Dylan, what's your story, man?
Actually, I met John and Taylor when I was kind of promoting my movie there, Tapehead, and we just hit it off, man. We talked for about an hour after our show, and in the last year and a half, John, Taylor, and I have all gotten to be pretty close. Yeah, when an opportunity came and John tagged me in, I was all about it. I'm a big fan of Curse of Crom. Um,
Nice.
Found it from their show. So yeah, man, kind of full circle here. They introduced me to
Sweet.
you and your flick. So I've been following the campaign for Curse of Crom 2. Super stoked to talk to you, man.
Cool. Well, I'm excited. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well.
So,
I
what
feel
you
like
what?
I need sunglasses. Hang on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like you said that last time too. You were like, "Oh, you guys are wearing the sunglasses," which I like that Dylan's doing because he kind of looks like Taylor right now, actually.
Yeah, I got my beard, my women's shades, Taylor style.
Yeah, Taylor's a big Elton John guy, so
Oh, I know. Loves Rob Zombie and Elton John.
I
It's
know.
quite the
I love
Nice.
it. Cool, man.
Nice.
So let's get into it, man. I don't want to talk too much about Curse of Crom because I know we got a Kickstarter going on, and we want to make sure we get some people to buy into that. So tell us a little bit about this project, man.
Yeah. So while we were still in post on the first movie, I started kicking around ideas for a potential sequel. Just little things that I kind of wish that we could have done on the first movie, like, oh, it'd have been fun to go into this story or do this kind of thing. Um, and as I went further along, I didn't want to just do the same movie twice. Like I wanted to do something that was different and that, warranted an actual sequel. And as it kind of progressed, I was just like, you know what? I think I just kind of want to lean into the campiness and the over the top ridiculousness of some of these situations and make it just a little bit more weird and crazy. And I think I want to make it into a buddy comedy.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
so, so my idea was, well, let's take the two most unlikely characters who would ever hang out together and stick them so they have to work together. And so the idea came about to let's get Harvey and let's get Greg, the dad, to have to be a team and partner up to fight monsters. And
Hell
the
yeah.
dad the whole time doesn't want to be there, and Harvey the whole time is just trying to suck up and get dad's approval, as it were. And
Nice.
I was like, this might work. Anyway, fast forward a year later, we got a script done, and it's awesome, and I'm super excited for it. And yeah, that's kind of the genesis of it. And we're really hoping that our Kickstarter hits its funding goal. We have about Aerostorm Entertainment is a company that we partnered with, and they've got about half the funds ready for the movie, and so the Kickstarter is for the gap funding.
Gotcha.
So we basically have to hit our goal in
Okay.
order to make the movie.
Good.
So
Well,
yeah,
that's what we're doing here. So we're happy to help, man. So me and Dylan were talking about this earlier. We got a little bit of news from you that we're gonna have some songs featured from Dream Kid.
yeah, yeah.
So
We're pumped about that.
huge fan,
Yeah, we love
by the
Dream
way.
Kid.
Unbelievable. I love that. I produced music for 10 years, so like I did a lot of electronic stuff, and his synthwave stuff is just super cool, super 80s. So you're really
Yeah,
going for that 80s vibe.
yeah. So I reached out to I was able to reach out to him, and he sent me to his manager, and we were able to negotiate favorable terms. And yeah, I'm super pumped because I just feel like, again, like I don't want to do the same movie twice. I want to like really make it bonkers and crazy and just have a lot of fun with it. And what better way than have an 80s synth style soundtrack to it? So we're gonna have all sorts of cool music in it. Um, Dream Kid, New Arcades is gonna have a song in it.
I
We're gonna
love
try
those
to get
guys
a
too.
couple more. So it'll be a fun soundtrack.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. Um, Man, that's so cool, dude. I discovered his stuff like probably a year ago, and I was just
Yeah,
blown
I
away.
I I found him. I think it was probably his first viral song, and I remember I was sitting there and just scrolling, and then I was like, "Oh, what is this?" And I started listening to it. I'm like, "Dude, that is the coolest nostalgic like sound ever!" Like I loved it, and I just followed him, and he just exploded, and well deserved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his content is so cool, man. The way he like explains it like a movie, he's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
it's a detective in LA," and he's bummed
yeah.
out because
Did you hear
it's
his
so
Did you
good.
hear his latest like his Halloween track that he released?
No,
Uh-uh.
Dude, it's sweet.
really,
He's putting out a single, and it's really cool.
that sounds awesome.
No, he's
Very
had an
classic.
awesome rise. Like from 500 followers to like 500,000, like so fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Dylan, you followed him like early, right?
Yeah, I was one of like the first 500, and I was telling my buddies, I'm like, check this out, and they're like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then like half of those people, like 6 months later, were like, have you ever heard of Dream Kid? I'm like, come on.
It's like, come on, man, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's huge, man. I'm so glad you got some of his stuff. That's great. That's gonna really amp up the soundtrack a lot. Um, so we're going with a kind of a buddy horror comedy here. This is gonna be cool, man. So are we still going like animatronic and practical effects here, or are you thinking
Oh yeah, abs we're really leaning into that because that was one of the things that as I've reviewed hundreds of reviews that people have put up on the movie, that's one thing that if there was a complaint people had about the movie is that they wanted more monster in it.
mm,
Um, and and I'm kind of the Jaws persuasion where less is more. But
sure?
I'm like, well, if people want more monster, let's put more monster in it because like there's nothing more fun than working with the practical effect on set. So we're gonna have more Crom. There's other monsters now in this one that we're gonna have. There's gonna be all these little. Oh, I don't want to. No spoilers, but there's gonna be lots of little gremlins-y kind of things running around
Yeah.
town that they have to fight, and it's going to be super cool. We're having Chris Hansen, the guy who did our visual effects in the first one. Sorry, not visual effects, special effects in the first one. He's already starting to design. Him and his girlfriend. They've designed some. I've seen their concept art and I approved it, and it's awesome. And they're gonna start. I think he's gonna sculpt the bust for the face of one of these creatures this weekend, so we can
Awesome.
kind of get those going. We haven't technically greenlit the project yet, but I'm like, I want to get going because if once we hit our goal, like it's gonna be go time. We're not gonna have as much pre-production time as I'd like. So I'm just like, let's get whatever little head start we can. So I'm excited to see what he comes up with for the 3D clay model that he makes.
Fuck
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so we're gonna have well, I'll give you a little spoiler. There's three different monsters in it specifically. They're all going to be practical. And we've got some fun gags that we're going to do with them, some lots of slime and gross stuff
Nice.
like that. We're going to have some claymation morphs, like classic, like things
Nice.
morphing into other things. We're going to do some miniatures. We're going to do some matte painting things. The only thing that'll be digital will be like compositing, just because it's easier to do that than on film. And we're not shooting on film, unfortunately,
Right.
because that is cost prohibitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so it's gonna be a fun. I'm really hoping it's a fun kind of 80s retro style, just a fun movie that you can just watch, have a good time with. It's silly, it's over the top, but at the same time, not afraid to be a little bit dark and actually kind of get in spooky territory. Unlike movies today where they go, oh, if it's a kids movie, you can't get actually scary on it, which I think is dumb. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, kids are tougher than that. Like,
Yeah, we used to be, right? When Gremlins
Yeah.
came out and
Oh,
and all the,
yeah,
Ghoulies and all these movies when we were kids, dude, they had some scenes where I'm still kind of like, oh man, I was watching that.
yeah, yeah. So we're hoping. I would say this one is gonna be, like, let's say let's say a 12-year-old watched the first one and loved it. Um, this one's going to be more kind of the, 13, 14 year range in terms of gruesomeness. Still
Nice.
not too crazy, nothing, not a slasher flick by any means. But still just a lot of that fun kind of 80s family horror as it
Yeah,
were.
yeah, and
Oh,
you can go the gore style just with slime. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah,
that
there's gonna be
yeah.
lots of slime this time, lots of slime.
slime's just as good as blood, bro. Um, so yeah, so I think that's like the ultimate like um compliment though. Like I know we all I think as horror fans too, and just as movie fans, like the whole I agree with the less is more sometimes. Um, showing the monster and stuff like that. And you didn't show him too much in the first one, but I mean it's the ultimate compliment for people to be like, we want no, we want more of that. But does that pose a challenge for your script when you're making it? Because you don't want to be like yeah, I mean, you don't want to show them the whole time, right? But like you want it to look good on screen and you want the story to play out and still maybe build a little tension here and there. So how does that affect the script?
Well, part of it is going to be the sheer number of monsters that we have.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's going to be Crom the whole time.
Sure.
Crom is still kind of he's like the Sauron of the movie. He's like they're kind of leading the pack, right? Like
Right.
he's the king monster. And so he's kind of his presence is felt through the whole movie, but it's going to be more of these other monsters that are kind of still in the show throughout the film. And then obviously they at some points they will meet Crom face to face. And again, don't want to get into too much spoiler territory,
Right.
but
Right. No, yeah,
um,
absolutely. That's a great idea though. Bringing in the other monsters. So
yeah,
that's a
so it'll and dude, I kind of want to just talk about them because they're gonna be cool, but I don't want to, I
No, I'd
also
rather
don't want to.
I'd rather
Yeah.
have you not, man, because I for one am a fan and I want to make sure I want to when it comes out, I'm just gonna be super pumped about it. And obviously I'll be donating to the Kickstarter as well.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, I know Dylan's been fucking pumped. He's been
Oh
watching
yeah.
it.
Lots of cool stuff, man. So I watched the test footage on your Kickstarter campaign,
Uh-huh.
and I got a little glimpse of a different creature when
Yeah.
Steve's out on his date and he goes after the little
Yeah.
creature.
Yep. Again, I won't tell you what they are, but
No, no.
that is a little tiny glimpse of them, or at least the test version of it. Like that's kind of a
Sure.
prototype. That's not what the final monster will necessarily look like. But that was yeah, that costume was a little behind the scenes there. So we had to throw that costume together for the test shoot. And what ended up happening is my wife, who's an amazing uh, costumer and art director, she went and bought a bunch of stuffed animals from a thrift store and ripped them apart and made a costume out of them that my 5-year-old daughter wore and just ran across the screen there.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
That is
That's
great.
but
awesome.
yeah, and so Chris right now he's designing Chris Hansen again. He's going to make kind of a almost like a garbage bag puppet for the prototype. And what he wants to do is he's going to have basically a backpack that's worn by the puppeteer, and then it'll have rods for the arms and the feet so that the puppeteer can walk behind it and make the puppet walk. So we'll get some cool shots of the creatures actually like moving towards camera. Um, and yeah, just lots of fun little sneaky gags to make it look like they're alive and moving around. Like their tails will have like I think he's gonna do like a little air thing so that he pumps some air in and they like flip around all over the place and cool little stuff like that. Very, very old school, very cheesy by today's standards.
Oh, we
But
love that stuff.
that's the
Yeah.
thing is it's like you can have cheesy digital effects or you can have cheesy practical effects that are actually there and actors are interacting with them and they just feel so much better. Like
Definitely.
I don't know, it's just more tactile and more visceral in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's so many movies you see, even big budget movies now where it's a green screen and there's just like a blue dot on something and they're holding it in the air. And sometimes like the eyes aren't even lining up with the whatever it's supposed to be, you know what I mean? And it's like this we
Yeah.
it just there's so much disconnect there. And
Mm.
not saying it can't be cool, but there is a lot of disconnect, I think, with the viewers when they see that. And the reaction from the, obviously for actors, I think when they can react to something that's physically there is just way easier. You put
Yeah.
way more emotion into it, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I just saw the new Beetlejuice movie, and I was just loving the fact that everything was practical.
Right.
And like it's the same thing with the Alien Romulus, like everything in that's just like, I mean, not everything, but a lot of it is practical. And it's just, it looks so much cooler to me. Like just, I
Oh,
don't
when he was, dude, when Alvarez was posting photos of them testing out the animatronic alien and like
the one
it's
that's
like
on the,
jumping in the air and
yeah,
stuff.
dude, I was watching that on my phone, and like the one that has like the 30-foot boom that it jumps from,
Yeah.
it moved towards the screen just on my phone, and it kind of made me jump a little bit because it was
Yes.
really there. I was like, dude,
Yeah. That's
that's
just what I was
so
gonna
cool.
say, dude. I was like, this is scary on its own, and the thing doesn't even, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
it's in like this warehouse. I'm like, that's scary. Like it's,
yeah.
when they did like Alien Covenant, it was like all kind of CGI, and you show a bunch of aliens running, and it's like, when they do that with like stuff like that or like zombie movies, it just there's a disconnect there. You're kind of like, okay, well, let's get back to the story. That's when like the dialogue really has to carry a movie, and but when you can add practical effects and have good storyline, like Clash of the Titans
That's
right
the
there.
ticket right there. That's the
Yeah.
ticket.
And
I
it's
would
such a
like to add,
it's such a cool story, dude, with the that you did the stuffed animals thing. Like just for us being indie filmmakers,
Oh
like
yeah.
that is such a good thing to hear because it just gives me hope that if I do something like that, it'll be kind of cool. So, as far as the Kickstarter goes, so you're hitting almost 27,000 right now
mhm,
in funds. You're trying to get to 70, correct?
correct.
So speak on the any type of things that you're giving out for, what do you call them? Jeez,
Perks. The
yeah,
Works,
perks.
perks. Why am I
Yep.
perks,
blanking?
Yeah.
the
Been a
merchandise.
It's been a while, boys. Yeah, yeah. Tell us a little bit about the perks and what you got offering people who are donating.
Yeah, so the cool thing about Kickstarter is, well, the scary thing about Kickstarter is that it's all or nothing. If we don't hit our goal, then we don't get any of the funding, which is kind of by choice. I know some of the other crowdfunding things, they'll do like a variable goal that basically any money you get to keep for your project. But we kind of knew exactly what our budget needed to be. And we knew that if we had less than that, we'd make a subpar movie. It wouldn't be what we wanted to do. So we're just like, no, it's all or nothing. Because if we don't hit that, we won't be able to make the movie the way we want to make it.
Mhm.
So that's why we went with Kickstarter. But the cool thing about a Kickstarter, if you've never done one before, is that you kind of get to be a part of the movie. Like you are literally making the movie happen. We have all sorts of cool perks where we let you in on some behind the scenes stuff as we're bringing the film to life and all this stuff that you wouldn't get from a Hollywood production or whatever. Um, and then you also are going to get some cool merchandise as a reward for donating. And it's literally, like a lot of films you can go buy in the store, but this will be the only place that you can actually get physical media because they don't, a lot of distributors don't even do DVDs or Blu-rays anymore because it's
Right.
just not cost effective. It's only like the really big distribution companies that still do that.
Yeah.
So this will be the only place you can get physical media. We have, of course, DVDs and Blu-rays. We also have some limited edition VHSs, which are super cool. I've got, yeah, 1 second. Let me pull up. This was the this was the VHS for the first movie.
So awesome.
It's wait, gotta there we go. Okay, there it
Yeah,
is.
super awesome.
Anyways, it's super fun, and we actually watched it. I dug up a VHS or a VCR, a VHS player, a VCR, plugged it into our CRT television, and watched it, and it was a nostalgic like trip. Like it was crazy to see it. I think that's the way it was meant to be watched, is on VHS. So if you have a
Sure.
player, it's totally worth doing it. But it goes from that, and then it goes all the way up to if you want to be an executive producer on the project, there's a tier for that, and that gets you a lot of sweet perks, including executive producer credits, tickets to the premiere and all sorts of other little fun things, a set visit, a full-size movie poster, that kind of thing. So lots of things for, if you just have a little bit of money that you want to, invest in the project, or if you got a lot and you're like, dude, I really love this project. Let's make this happen. We have tiers for everybody. So
Hell
please, if you're so inclined, check out the Kickstarter, and at least watch the scenes that we did though, because they're fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And
We appreciate every donation. Helps
I
make the
mean,
movie.
anybody who's our viewers are all, physical media collectors, I think. So,
Mhm.
that's really
I think a
the
lot of horror people are.
sure. Yeah, I think that's kind of what it's all based on. And I think there's a lot of nostalgia to horror. So it's kind of cool that and that must have been a crazy feeling, not only seeing the movie on VHS, but it's your movie that you made
Yeah.
on
Well,
VHS.
and that's the thing, dude. That was the thing is we had our premiere at a really big, huge like laser projection theater. It was awesome to see it on the big screen. But watching it on a tiny 25-inch CRT television on VHS was like just as cool. Like it
Yeah,
was,
absolutely.
and it made a lot of the visual effects are like they really hold up on VHS. So,
That's awesome. Yeah, it makes you want to like sit cross-legged in front of like really close to the TV, like you're
yeah, just
watching
eating
Saturday
eating
morning
popcorn,
cartoons.
just like "Wah."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. Dylan, did you guys put Tapehead on VHS?
So I actually got us a real small distribution on VHS. I've got the proof of the slipcover, and
Mhm.
he's actually going to have them shipped from the printer to me. He wants me to autograph them, so it's pretty sweet. Small run, I think 25 copies, but yeah, to
Nice.
see our main villain that I play, he used to work at a video store. He wears a VHS tape on his face, so of course, not having it on VHS would have been a crime. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
we got a small run, but yeah, man, I think horror and especially indie horror, but there's a lot of boutique labels and shops that are still pushing VHS, and dude, they sell better than Blu-rays and DVDs a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we went through a company called Media Home Entertainment, which has actually been around for a long time. Like they actually produced VHSs, like that company produced VHSs back like when I was a kid. That was like I've seen that logo before on VHSs. And so we found them, we're super excited. And I'm sure it's more that whoever was running it had like bought the label, like it was probably wasn't the original people. But we ended up being the last VHS run that they did before they closed shop.
That's
So that
awesome.
was kind of,
Wow.
I mean, it was sad, but kind of cool too. I was like, wow, we're like the last thing that they made. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. That's super cool, man. Yeah, I'm glad that you're doing physical copies. I'm probably gonna donate so I can get something like that because I got all
well,
my
dude, how about a check the candy logo in front of the movie?
holy shit.
If you
Yeah.
want to be the production company, there's
Right,
that
right,
here too.
right. Yeah, I see what you're doing here. Okay, don't. I
Well,
see
dude,
what you're
I'll
doing.
hook you if you're interested though, I will hook you up. I will hook you up. I'll give you a sweet discount on
All right. We'll talk about it.
it.
That's not a horrible idea. Um, pulling on my strings a little bit, Rob. Okay. Um, cool, man. Yeah. So Kickstarter, everybody, make sure you guys go donate. Where can you find the link, Rob? Is it on the Curse of Crom movie Instagram page? Is that correct?
Oh yeah, you can find it there. Or if you just Google Crom 2, it's one of the first. There's actually a random company in like uh some European country that's called Crom 2. I don't know what that's about, but like the next thing that comes up is the Kickstarter for our movie. So
Awesome. Awesome.
There is also a link on his Instagram page, the
Yes.
Curse of Crom. So
yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
I always go to it. But
Perfect. Yeah, and he's at, almost 27,000. We need to get to 70,000 people. I know I want to see this movie be made. Everybody in this conversation wants to see the movie be made. So let's make sure we go donate. Please, please donate. Let's make it happen. I promise no one will be disappointed. Rob, it was great to have you on again, man. I'm pumped.
Dude, appreciate it, John.
our engagement.
Love it.
What's up?
Hey,
Yes.
hey, good to see you.
How's it going? Who am I talking to? How you doing, guys?
Good,
Good.
good.
My name's Dylan. Oh,
Yep. That's Dylan. My name's
Nice to meet you,
John.
Dylan. Dylan and John, good to see you guys. Thanks for doing what you guys do. It's awesome. It's appreciated.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you
absolutely,
for being
man.
on here.
Yeah, for sure. We love Curse of Crom, so we're big fans.
Oh, that's great. No, it is. It's great. Look, I mean, as I've said in the past, I met Rob at a film festival, and he made a little movie called Magellan for like for 10 cents, and he had cardboard sets, and there was a guy in a lunar capsule, and all the buttons were just glue stuck on, and within 10 seconds, you just forgot all about it because the directing was so good and the story was so good. So I made a point of reaching out to him, just saying, "Hey, man, like, it's just like when you recognize, you can listen to 100 singers in a bar or karaoke night, and then you hear one, and you're like, it just stops you. So it's kind of that way when you're watching movies. You can be at a film fest and go through 100 films, and then you see one, you're like, okay, whoa, this guy's got something else going on. So reached out to him and just said, hey man, if you ever need anybody to make sandwiches, please give me a call. So that's what started it all.
And they were good sandwiches, so I appreciate it.
Nice,
Oh,
nice.
absolutely.
That's awesome. So, you excited for the second one or what?
I am, yeah, no, and it's kind of fun to be a little on the earlier part of it as well. I mean, before it was like it was kind of set up and shoot date and hey, you want to show up, and it's like, yeah, great. Whereas this one, I mean, we've had the success of one, and now Rob's been out there busting his hump, raising money for two, and I hope to help out a little bit in that department. So we're gonna hit up FanX in another couple of weeks in Salt Lake, and looking forward to that. And it's just great. So I'm crossing my fingers, and I it's gonna happen. It's absolutely gonna happen.
Oh, for
But
sure.
it's just nice, I guess, to be a part of the ride before we even leave the driveway.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. We love this stuff, man. We're indie filmmakers ourselves, and it's something that when we can try to help out any way we can, and push the projects. And we really loved the first one. It was very, had that scary vibe, but it was family oriented, and it was just fun, something you can watch with kids and just have a good time with. Plus, all you actors were great, and the story was great. You guys did an awesome job.
Well, it's funny how just even the genre went from, because like I remember seeing movies like Crom, and they'd scare the crap out of you. And not because you were a kid and they scared the crap out of you, but they scared the crap out of you because they were scary.
Yeah.
But they didn't jump the shark. It was, you could still see a good thriller, a good, good entertaining horror flick. And, without it becoming Deep Red or, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And those are kind of genre unto themselves. But it's nice, and I think that's why I love some of just some of those movies in the 80s, man. Like they scared the crap out of you, but it was a good scare. It was a legit scare. Nothing was being done to be provocative. You weren't watching somebody slowly get their head sliced off because everybody was pushing the envelope. And how far can we take it? And how far can we take it? But they forgot about story. They forgot about
Yes.
craft. They
Yeah,
forgot
absolutely.
about putting you there and taking you for a ride. It's entertainment too. It's not always an auteurs wank. You know what I
No,
mean?
true.
Look, and I'm a big fan of some of those wanks. Don't get me wrong, but it's just nice to come back to classic, good old fashioned, creep show, kind of stuff. It's great.
Yeah, especially with all the animatronic stuff and the practical effects when you can add that into a horror movie nowadays, which, the big budget ones don't really have that as much. I mean, we talked about a few with Rob, like the new Beetlejuice and the new Alien movie has a lot of practical stuff. But, we were talking earlier about the disconnect when you have a lot of CGI and, versus the great reaction you get from actors like yourself when it's a something physical in front of you.
Yeah, no, it is great. And I mean, I've heard people talk about the difference between CGI and AI and versus just even having a puppet. There's something, I don't know, in the brain that just recognizes a real thing versus, because sometimes, look, again, you can take the CGI and you can, it's CGI on ayahuasca. It's too much.
Yeah.
And you detach from the story. But I think that's what I love most about Rob's films is that they are story. they're story driven, and that's the most important thing. I mean, you look at it, even a TV show like Black Mirror. God only knows what they could do, that they've got the budget to do. But instead, it's like, no, it's story, story, story. And whatever the budget is, whatever the production design is, or effects that we're going to add to it, are going to embellish or support the story. They're not ever going to get in the way of it. And anyway, so that's what I love about working with Rob. That, and it's fun as all hell. It's great, right? You got this big boogie monster from some Irish cursed tomb, and it's coming out to get your ass. It's great.
Yeah, Rob, you said I think in the when we did our first episode with you that you kind of messed with the animatronic a lot on set, didn't you? You had a lot of fun playing with that.
Yeah, I couldn't stop like making sound effects for it as I was doing it either. Like I was just like, rah. They're fun to play with on set. And I mean, just like the scene where Colin's character Greg gets attacked by Crom at the end of the first movie, like that was just a lot of fun to do, because I mean it's just super basic. Crom grabs him, lifts him up, you see his feet dangling there, and like all we did was he was just sitting on the flatbed of a truck with his legs hanging off
on
the side.
on the lid, the door. We just pulled it down, and then I waved my feet. I mean, it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's old school filmmaking right there. I love it.
Totally.
Yeah, we did something like that with a milk crate. I had to pick up one of my co-stars by the head, and I could do it for a while. Then your arms get tired after like 10 takes. So yeah, we just put him on a milk crate, and my arms are just loose, but you fake the tension. But
yeah, it's great. It's good. It's good. It's amazing. Look, it's amazing what you can do. I mean, it really is. But that's the craft of filmmaking. I think that's why I loved the Spielberg's film. It was basically his life story, his family, and all the
Fablemans.
The
Yes.
Fablemans. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was great. Just all that old school cheats and guys stepping on 2x4s to kick dirt in the air, and that was the explosion. And you just add the sound effect, and it works, man. If you commit, it works. Or the good old cowboy switch. I mean, they did that in Indiana Jones, right? I mean, it's just, or the Matrix for that matter, with the knife throw to the forehead. And it's just, you just switch the guy out. It's wicked,
Yeah, yeah. And it's so fun to see that kind of creativity come to life on a set, and work through the angles and be like, okay, well, we got to kind of problem solve here, and you're on a budget. So sometimes you kind of compress stuff into a diamond when you have that type of pressure, you know what I mean? And it makes it for a fun set, even though it might be hard. But and Rob, you had said that on your Kickstarter did you say that you have an opportunity for a set visit? Is that correct?
Yeah. If you want to come out, there's some of the tiers have set visits, or you could be an extra in the film too. So there you
that's
go,
awesome.
Dylan.
How much is that going to cost me?
Oh man, I don't remember what the price on that one is. I'll give you a discount.
Get the wallet
All right.
out, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start panhandling or something, but I got to be in this movie.
That's awesome though, because then I think people who are into, maybe they haven't been on a film set, and they get to kind of see how things go, and it's not as scary as it looks, maybe.
No, if anything, it's a lot of fun. I'll tell you. I mean, I've done some horror stuff in the past, and it's so much fun. It's probably one of the most fun sets you'll ever be on, because it's utterly ridiculous. I mean, you've got corn syrup and red food dye, and I mean, it's just hilarious. But they're not the movies I like to see, because they scare the living crap out of you.
Right.
They got all the jump scares and the score, and it's just so serious. But when you're shooting this stuff, it's the ultimate in make believe, because whatever the monster is, I mean, you're hanging out having a cup of tea with them before you shoot. So it's a bit of a riot. It really is.
Yeah, you get, and I mean, obviously I'm kind of biased, but I think horror fans are the best fans. They support anything and everything usually. Even if they don't like the film, they're on podcasts talking about it, or posting a video on their Instagram talking about it, either how much they loved it, how much they didn't like it, what they loved about it. They're going to meet people at conventions. And I mean, you just don't, it's funny. You just don't really see that with like action movies or something like that, where
well, it's funny, what you just described a subtype. I go back to like junior high school or high school. I found that the nerds that were into sci-fi happened to be they were very good writers. They became comics or writers. The people who liked action movies or wrestling or the stunt department. And the people who like horror movies are the kids that grew up watching or reading Fangora magazine, or they're huge. God, I'm just trying to think of the 100 amazing makeup artists that I've worked with. But I mean, the monsters and the creature features, and they're playing with rubber latex makeup in their house and coming up, and they're sketching monsters. And so that's either the makeup department or the FX department. The guys that have got CO2 canisters connected to tubes that are filled with food coloring, and and we're going to do a blood splatter, and they're all filmies, man. They're all cinephiles. I mean, we're all a bunch of nerds and geeks, but what I see is departments. So that's what I see. Horror fans are people who just have an affinity for the makeup and for just that visceral thing, just masks and the genre of just Halloween and all that kind of stuff, because it's cool. It's instead of westerns,
Right.
Or they get people who gravitate towards the SEAL team movies or the cowboy movies. There's people who gravitate toward horror movies, but for me, they're all a particular department on a film set, because that's what they're made up of.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah, and horror fans seem to, I've noticed for all the people I've talked to, I mean, either on this podcast or just in general, they seem to connect with the monster more than they do, so it's like that kind of taboo thing that, they might not feel right in the real world, but they go watch Frankenstein or the Wolfman and they feel right at home.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's cool. And look, I've just been a big fan of these movies going way, way back, so look, we're all kids playing, and but again, I come back to the fact that, look, there's a lot of bad movies out there. If anything, there can be an argument made that nobody's ever made a good one, because there's nothing but bad movies, because there's going to be somebody out there that thinks it's crap,
Right.
But I happen to think that Rob makes some pretty good films. At least it's there. He takes them seriously. It's not a wank. There's a process and a craft to it. And I think because he's putting his name on it, it needs to be good, or it needs to be better, or at the very least, it needs to be, if you're channel flipping, you're not going to notice it because it looks crappy or sounds crappy or has bad actors in it. It'll look on par. It'll look like everything else that's top shelf, before you flick the channel, because you're not into monster movies. But you won't notice it for the wrong reasons. If anything, you'll not notice it for all the right ones. And if you spend more than a minute or two watching, you'll see, hey, actually, you know what? This is actually pretty good amongst all the other films that are also good. It stands out, and I think that's a testament to his vision and his focus and his work discipline. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and for all us, he touches well on nostalgia too, which we were talking about earlier. The opening scenes of the first movie are just like some of my favorite opening scenes of any movie. It reminds me of like Halloween and all that kind of, and they're beautiful. They look great, and it sucks you right in from the beginning. And so, I mean, Rob, you're already telling the story from the beginning without even words being said yet. And I think that's a testament to your the way you direct and the way you
and our DP.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, no, Elliot. Yeah, man. Have you had Elliot on one of these podcasts, Rob? Because he really is. I mean, he's such a. There's focus coming on me right now. There's focus certainly coming on you, but I mean, my God, Elliot, man, he's without that pillar, the whole house falls over.
Dude, yeah, like he is a fantastic DP to have on, well, any film really, but especially with the budgets that we work within, because he knows how to get a shot quickly and get it good. I've worked with other DPs who they do really good stuff, but they take a long time to do it, and you don't have time for that on a smaller budget film. So you got to just jump in and get it done, and he knows how to do it. So he's definitely an integral part of making these happen.
Well, definitely. Yeah. I mean, his use of color and just the way he's shooting it. I mean, like, shoot him a text sometime. Tell him to come on, man. We'd love to have him on, because
we'll do it. We'll do it next time after the movie comes out. We'll do it again.
Because I know Curse of Crom, it's going to be it's traditional yearly fall Halloween season watch.
Mhm.
It's so beautifully shot, and it just feels like fall. It
Yes,
feels
it
like the
does.
right movie to throw on. I have no doubt that the second one's going to have that same. I mean, these are going to be double featured every year for probably the rest of my life.
Sweet.
Well,
Love it.
and you
Love it.
get the, I got a 3-year-old and he's about to turn 4. And once he gets up there, I mean, this is a fun one that he can kind of dip his toes into, and I'll have to cover his eyes a few times, but it's something to us horror fans, we go a little bit harder, I think, on our kids when it comes to
Yeah.
movies, but,
I know
but,
I did.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Well, warm them up with The Exorcist first, then show
Oh,
them Prom, right?
no.
be like,
But no, it's
now you'll be able to do this one just fine.
oh no. We have like a group of movies that like, John and I and like our friend groups, we call them gateway horror movies. It's kind of test the waters. This is to
Absolutely.
see,
See,
what they
I
like.
didn't come up with that term myself, Colin. That's a real
No,
term.
I'd never
Yeah,
heard it
yeah.
before. Rob,
No,
when
it's a
Rob
real.
said it, I'm like, gateway. So what? Like you walk out of the movie and you start doing cocaine or something? I mean, what the hell is that? But it's look, I have to say, I mean, I understand the term and I laugh at the term, but like a gateway to what? That's what I would be asking.
Just the progression, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's like you
yeah, yeah,
you start with like Gremlins, and
yeah,
you kind of all of a sudden you're watching Child's Play, and
yeah,
you know,
yeah. You go, baby steps. There's Gremlins, Monster Squad. I
yeah,
consider a gateway
oh
horror
yeah,
movie. I
definitely.
think Curse of Crom. That preteen, teenage. They're see what they're comfortable with.
I
It's an
like
introduction.
the term kinder trauma personally. I think
Yeah, true,
That's
that's
probably
true.
more clinical. Yeah, that's the clinical
Well,
term.
it's true. There's something to like. I remember the first time I saw like, I started off with like, you'd watch like as a kid, I watched like the Ernest movies and then like Gremlins
I
and Ghoulies and stuff
Ernest
like
Scared
that.
Stupid is
Oh,
so
it's
good. I
it's
Oh
love
so
it.
yeah,
good,
yeah, yeah.
man. It's so good. And then you all of a sudden you kind of make that leap of like, your parents are watching, like for me, it was my parents were watching Child's Play, and I was just behind the couch like pretending to play with my toys, but I wasn't. I was looking, I was like, oh, it's just like a doll. And then he starts cursing and he's flipping out, and it almost traumatized me. But for some reason in my head, I was like, I want to feel that again. I want to feel that feeling of it's almost like horror movies have this way of because I feel like fear is like the one emotion that you can't tap into without like horror is a good way to tap into fear without and still be safe, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but probably the film called Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black.
Hmm.
And there were 3 short films put into a feature film, and each one they were like 3 Twilight Zones, but man, like there was some imagery in there. I can only imagine that the special effects and stuff are just so staggeringly dated. But
Oh,
I must have been 6 or 7 years old, and I can still remember scenes in that movie that just cringe, absolutely creep me out. There's this little
yeah, the demonic Zuni doll.
yeah, is
Yeah,
that the
yep,
little man with the knife?
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
yep.
Oh, dude, like I mean, I remember. I bet if I watched it now, I mean, I'd feel like I'm watching a Daffy Duck cartoon. But that scared the living snot out of me. I mean, that really put an impression in me. But I still knew it was a movie, so I still dug it. It was really really cool, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what these kids are watching now,
Hey
compared
man,
to what
I'll
we
tell
were
you, I
watching.
give my kid Crom or Trilogy of Terror, or hell, I'd give them The Exorcist before I handed them a smartphone with TikTok on it. You know.
Yeah, yeah, or the
Yeah.
AI going around where they don't know what's
Uh,
real and what's not.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to make sure that all the viewers know is that this film will use absolutely no AI whatsoever in the
Good,
making of it.
I
good.
love to hear
Awesome.
that. Love to hear it.
That'll at least
Awesome.
be an hour and a half of your life that it's not just thrown in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's way
Well,
scarier.
so I hate to be the party pooper here, but I actually got to jump off
No,
next minute or so here.
He's got kids.
I got to get him
Yeah.
to bed.
He's
no,
got
that's all
kids. He's
right.
got to
Yeah.
tell horror stories to so that they have nightmares all night long.
Yep.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Keep that brain working. No, we appreciate you guys coming on, and
Yeah.
Colin,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you joining, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey guys, keep me in your back pocket if there's anything I can ever do for you. Happy to do it because I'm, like I'm local or I'm local enough. And thanks for supporting Crom 2 and Crom 1. And I hope to return the favor one day. I'm going to sign off. Rob, good to see you. I'll talk to you soon. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank
No
you, Colin.
problem.
See you,
Catch you
Colin.
guys later.